Ladies and gentlemen, today we dive into a subject that is not only crucial to the individual man, but to the world at large, understanding true manhood. Too often, the definition of manhood is shaped by external standards, society's expectations, the pursuit of status, and sometimes the confusion between strength and aggression. But true manhood, its essence, is rooted in something much deeper, more meaningful, and lasting. First and foremost, manhood begins with purpose. A man must know his purpose in life. He wasn't created to wander aimlessly or merely to exist. No, a true man seeks and discovers the specific assignment placed on his life. When a man finds his God-given purpose, he steps into his destiny. He knows who he is, where he's going, and why he's going there. Without this foundation, any man will live in frustration, attempting to fill the void with achievements that will never satisfy. True manhood is leadership through servanthood. Many mistake leadership as dominance or control, but that is a false understanding. A real man leads by serving. He is the first to sacrifice, the first to lay down his pride for the sake of others. In his home, he is a servant leader, ensuring that his family thrives through his humility and commitment to their well-being. A leader isn't someone who stands above, a leader stands with, pushing others forward while supporting them every step of the way. Manhood requires emotional stability and discipline. Strength isn't shown in outbursts of anger or reckless decisions. A man who understands true manhood knows that his greatest strength is in controlling his emotions. He masters himself before he attempts to lead others. Discipline is key, for without it, a man becomes unpredictable and unreliable. Emotional maturity is the ability to face life's challenges with wisdom, not by being swayed by the winds of emotion, but by standing firm in what is right. Responsibility and accountability are pillars of manhood. A true man doesn't point fingers or shift blame when things go wrong. Instead, he steps forward and says, I am responsible, whether it's his family, his work, or his relationships. He owns his role and the consequences of his actions. He understands that growth comes from owning up to mistakes and learning from them, not hiding behind excuses. Accountability is the key to building trust, and trust is the foundation of any meaningful relationship. Character and integrity form the backbone of a real man. A man's word is his bond. His life is shaped by the decisions he makes when no one is watching. Integrity means doing what is right, even when it's inconvenient or costly. A true man values honesty, faithfulness, and reliability, not for the recognition it might bring, but because he knows his character is a reflection of who he truly is. He stands by his principles and refuses to compromise his values. Lastly, a true man is a nurturer and protector. Manhood is not about domination, but about protection and care. He nurtures his family, his community, and his relationships with love, support, and strength. He stands firm in the face of adversity, shielding those who are vulnerable and creating a safe space where others can grow and thrive. A real man is not just concerned with his success, but with the flourishing of those around him. In closing, we must understand that true manhood is not a title earned through physical strength, material wealth, or societal position. It is a call to a higher standard of living, a standard that demands purpose, service, emotional maturity, responsibility, integrity, and a heart to nurture and protect. Let us strive to rise to that call, for in doing so, we transform not only ourselves, but the world around us. Manhood is not simply a state of being or a title bestowed by age or circumstance. It begins with something far more profound, a clear understanding of purpose. Purpose is the foundation of true manhood. A man who does not know his purpose is like a ship without a rudder, drifting through life, vulnerable to the currents of society, unsure of his direction. Purpose is what gives a man his identity, his reason for being, and his sense of direction. When a man discovers his purpose, he steps into a position of authority over his life. He's no longer chasing after things that won't satisfy or trying to fit into molds that others have created for him. Instead, he aligns himself with his God-given mission. He understands that he wasn't placed here by accident or chance. His existence carries meaning, and his purpose is to fulfill the assignment he has been given. It's through this understanding that a man finds fulfillment not in the accumulation of wealth or status, but in the pursuit of that higher calling that speaks to his soul. But purpose doesn't just appear out of nowhere. A man must seek it. He must take time to reflect, to connect with the deeper part of himself, and to listen to that still, small voice that calls him toward his destiny. He must be willing to break away from the distractions, the noise, and the pressures of the world around him. Purpose is found in moments of quiet reflection and deep thought, when a man asks himself the most important questions: why am I here? What was I created to do? What legacy will I leave behind? A man who understands his purpose is a man who can stand firm in any storm. Life will throw challenges his way, but purpose keeps him steady. When purpose keeps him steady, when others may waver, when they may fall into confusion or despair, the man who knows his purpose has a clarity that guides him. He isn't shaken by external circumstances because he knows where he is going and why he must keep moving forward. Purpose becomes his anchor, holding him firm in the shifting tides of life. Purpose also gives a man the ability to lead. A man without purpose is lost, but a man who knows his mission can guide others. He becomes a beacon of strength, someone who others can look to for direction and assurance. He's not influenced by trends or swayed by fleeting desires because his eyes are set on a higher goal. He's leading not from a place of ego, but from a place of conviction, grounded in the knowledge that he is fulfilling his divine assignment. The pursuit of purpose also transforms how a man sees his relationships. A man of purpose is intentional about who he surrounds himself with, the decisions he makes, and the paths he chooses. He doesn't waste time on meaningless pursuits because he understands the value of every moment. His purpose shapes his priorities, influences his actions, and molds his character. He is not led by impulse, but by a vision that transcends the immediate and stretches into the future. In essence, true manhood is impossible without purpose. It is the starting point for everything that follows. When a man knows why he was created, he steps into a power that nothing can take away. Purpose gives him identity, it gives him strength, and it gives him the motivation to live a life of meaning. A man who understands his purpose doesn't merely exist, he thrives. He leaves a legacy that impacts generations to come. Leadership, in its truest form, is not about power or authority. It is about service. Many believe that to lead means to control, to command, or to be at the top, but that is a shallow understanding of what leadership truly requires. Real leadership begins when a man understands that his role is to serve those he leads, to lift them up rather than position himself above them. The essence of leadership is servanthood, and in that servanthood lies true strength. A man who leads through service is someone who prioritizes the needs of others over his own ambitions. He does not seek leadership for the sake of recognition or personal gain. Instead, he embraces the responsibility of leadership because he knows it is his duty to guide, to nurture, and to protect those entrusted to him. He understands that leadership is not about being in control, but about empowering others to become the best versions of themselves. Servanthood in leadership is demonstrated through sacrifice. A true leader is willing to give of himself for the benefit of those he leads. He sacrifices his time, his comfort, and sometimes even his desires to ensure that the people under his care are flourishing. This is not a sign of weakness, but of immense strength. It takes a strong man to put others first, to see beyond his own needs, and to work tirelessly to ensure that those around him are uplifted. Leadership, then, is not a path of privilege, but a call to serve. When a man leads through servanthood, he gains the trust and respect of those around him. People are drawn to leaders who care for them, who are willing to walk alongside them rather than dictate from above. A servant leader listens. He values the input of others, recognizing that leadership is not a one-man show, but a collective effort. He builds relationships based on mutual respect and understanding, and through those relationships, he cultivates an environment where others feel safe to grow and thrive. True leadership is about setting an example. A man who serves leads by doing, not by merely giving orders. He is the first to step into action, the first to shoulder the burden when things are tough. His leadership is not just about words, it's about actions. People follow him not because they are told to, but because they are inspired by his example. They see his dedication, his humility, and his willingness to serve, and they are moved to follow him out of respect, not obligation. Our leadership through servanthood also requires humility. A true leader does not need to flaunt his position or assert his dominance. He is secure enough in himself to know that leadership is not about being the most important person in the room. Instead, it's about making sure that every person in the room knows their importance. A servant leader lifts others up, celebrates their achievements, and takes joy in their success. His goal is not to outshine those he leads, but to help them shine brighter. A man who leads through service understands that his role is temporary. Leadership is about leaving a legacy, about preparing others to take on the mantle when his time has passed. He is not threatened by the success of others. Instead, he finds fulfillment in knowing that he has prepared them to lead in their own right. A servant leader is always thinking about the future, about the generations to come, and about how he can pass on the values of service, integrity, and humility to those who will follow in his footsteps. In the end, leadership through servanthood is about love. It's about having a genuine care and concern for the people under your leadership. It's about being willing to put their needs above your own and to work tirelessly for their benefit. A true leader doesn't lead for his own sake, he leads for the sake of others. And in that he finds the deepest fulfillment, knowing that his legacy will be measured not by how many people served him, but by how many people served him, but by how many lives he served and transformed. Emotional stability and discipline are the cornerstones of a man's strength. Many believe that strength is defined by physical power or the ability to dominate others, but real strength lies in mastering oneself. The true measure of a man is not found in how much he can control the world around him, but in how well he can control the world within him. A man who is emotionally stable and disciplined stands firm in the face of life's challenges, unshaken by circumstances, because he has learned to govern his emotions and actions. Emotions are a natural part of being human. Everyone experiences joy, anger, frustration, and fear. But the difference between a mature man and one who is still developing lies in how he responds to these emotions. A man who understands true emotional stability is not ruled by his feelings. He knows that emotions are temporary, often driven by fleeting circumstances, and he does not allow them to dictate his behavior. Instead, he uses wisdom to assess the situation and respond in a way that aligns with his principles and values. This is not about suppressing feelings, it's about mastering them. Discipline plays a key role in this mastery. A disciplined man is able to set boundaries for himself and live within those boundaries, even when it's difficult. He doesn't give in to impulsive reactions or momentary desires. He understands that discipline is about long-term vision and self-control. When emotions threaten to lead him astray, it is his discipline that keeps him grounded. Discipline is what keeps a man focused on his goals, even when the path becomes difficult or his emotions try to lead him in a different direction. Emotional stability is not just about remaining calm in good times. It is tested in moments of difficulty and pressure. Life will inevitably throw challenges at every man, whether it's personal failures, conflicts, or unexpected setbacks. In these moments, a man who is emotionally stable does not crumble under the weight of his emotions. He doesn't lash out in anger, retreat into despair, or act impulsively. Instead, he takes a step back, evaluates the situation, and responds with clarity and purpose. This is the mark of a man who has learned to control his inner world, no matter what is happening externally.
The disciplined man is proactive, not reactive. He prepares himself mentally, emotionally, and physically for the challenges he knows life will bring. He practices patience, understanding that not every battle is worth fighting and not every emotion is worth expressing.
He has the strength to remain silent when necessary and to speak only when his words will add value. His actions are measured, purposeful, and grounded in the wisdom that comes from a life of discipline. This discipline isn't just about controlling his temper or desires. It extends to every area of his life. It governs how he manages his time, how he treats others, and how he makes decisions. A man who embodies emotional stability and discipline is also a man who brings peace to those around him. He creates an environment of security because people know they can trust him to remain steady, even in turbulent times. He doesn't allow his emotions to cloud his judgment, and as a result, he becomes a source of strength for others. His presence is calming, his words are measured, and his actions are dependable. In moments of crisis, people look to him because they know he is not swayed by the chaos around him. He remains anchored in his discipline and emotional maturity. But this stability and discipline are not things that come naturally or easily. They are developed through intentional effort and practice. A man must commit himself to growth, understanding that true strength comes from within. He must recognize his emotional triggers and work to manage them, rather than allowing them to manage him. He must cultivate discipline in every area of his life, building habits that reinforce self-control, patience, and wisdom. This is the path to becoming a man of emotional stability, and it is a lifelong journey. Ultimately, emotional stability and discipline are about creating a life of balance. A man who has mastered these qualities is able to navigate the highs and lows of life without being overwhelmed by either. He knows when to stand firm and when to let go, when to push forward and when to rest. He is in control not only of his emotions but of his destiny. This is the essence of true manhood, a man who is steady, disciplined, and guided by an inner strength that no external force can shake. Responsibility and accountability are the bedrock of true manhood. They are the qualities that separate a boy from a man. The difference between living reactively and living intentionally. A man who understands the weight of responsibility embraces it fully, knowing that his life, his choices, and his actions have consequences not only for himself but for everyone around him. He does not run from this truth. Instead, he steps into it with courage and a deep sense of duty. Responsibility means owning your life,
It's recognizing that no one else is accountable for the path you take but you. A man cannot blame his past, his upbringing, or his circumstances for his failures or mistakes.
Life may not have been fair, but responsibility teaches him that what matters is how he responds to what he's been given. A man must take charge of his destiny, knowing that he is the author of his own story. Every decision, every choice is his to make. And with that freedom comes the responsibility to make choices that align with his values and purpose. Accountability goes hand in hand with responsibility. It is not enough to acknowledge that you are responsible for your life. You must also be willing to hold yourself accountable for your actions. This means being honest with yourself and others, admitting when you have made mistakes, and being willing to correct them. A man who is accountable does not shy away from difficult truths. He confronts them head on because he understands that growth comes from facing reality, not running from it. True accountability requires humility. It takes strength to admit when you are wrong, to own up to your shortcomings, and to seek forgiveness or make amends when necessary. A man who lacks accountability will try to shift blame or make excuses, but a man who embraces accountability takes full ownership of his actions, whether they lead to success or failure. He doesn't try to protect his ego by pointing fingers at others. Instead, he looks within and takes responsibility for his part in every situation. Responsibility is also about leadership. A man who understands responsibility knows that his actions affect more than just himself. Whether it's his family, his community, or his workplace, he recognizes that others are looking to him for guidance, support, and strength. He does not take this lightly. He leads by example, showing through his actions what it means to live with integrity and purpose. When things go wrong, he doesn't hide or shift the blame. He stands up and says, "I am responsible." This is the essence of leadership, not control, but the willingness to bear the weight of responsibility for others. Accountability is the key to trust. A man who is accountable earns the trust of those around him because they know he will stand by his word. They can rely on him because he has proven that he is not afraid to be held to a standard of truth and integrity. He is consistent in his actions and words, and this consistency builds a foundation of trust that others can depend on. Trust is not given, it is earned, and it is accountability that earns it. A responsible man also understands that his decisions today will shape his future and the futures of those around him. He does not live for the moment, driven by impulse or desire. Instead, he makes choices with the long term in mind. He is aware that the seeds he plants now will bear fruit in the future, whether good or bad. This awareness compels him to act with wisdom and foresight, understanding that every decision has a ripple effect that extends far beyond the present moment. Accountability, too, is about growth. A man who holds himself accountable is constantly learning. He doesn't view mistakes as failures, but as opportunities for growth. Each time he stumbles, he reflects on what went wrong, takes responsibility for his actions, and adjusts his course. This is how he becomes stronger, wiser, and more effective in everything he does. He is not afraid to admit when he doesn't know something or when he needs help, because he knows that true strength comes from the willingness to learn and grow. In the end, responsibility and accountability are about ownership, owning your life, your decisions, and your impact on the world around you. A man who lives with these qualities understands that he is not a victim of circumstance, but a steward of his own destiny. He takes charge of his life with confidence, knowing that he is capable of shaping his future through the choices he makes today. This is the essence of manhood: to live with responsibility and accountability, to own your life fully, and to lead with integrity and you do. Commitment to character and integrity is the foundation of a man's true identity. Without character, a man is like a house built on sand, unstable, easily shaken, and vulnerable to collapse. Integrity is the bedrock on which his life stands. It is the quality that ensures consistency between what he says and what he does, between who he is in public and who he is in private. A man of character does not shift with the tides of circumstance or the winds of opinion. He is anchored in values that guide him through every situation. Character is not something that is developed overnight. It is forged in the fires of adversity through the decisions a man makes in both small and great matters. It is easy to display integrity when everything is going well, but true character is revealed when no one is watching, when the stakes are high, and when the path of least resistance is tempting. A man who is committed to character does not waver in these moments. He understands that his word, his actions, and his reputation are all he truly has. If he compromises his integrity, he compromises the very essence of who he is. Integrity is the commitment to doing what is right, even when it is difficult, even when it costs something. It is not about convenience, it is about conviction. A man of integrity lives by principles, not preferences. He does not make decisions based on what will bring him the most immediate benefit, but on what aligns with his core values. His choices reflect a deep commitment to honesty, fairness, and righteousness. He is not swayed by the opinions of others or the allure of shortcuts because he knows that integrity is priceless. Once lost, it is difficult, if not impossible, to regain. A man of character is trustworthy. People can rely on him because they know that his word is his bond. If he says he will do something, he does it. He does not make promises lightly, and he does not break them casually. His integrity is what makes him a person of dependability. In a world where promises are often broken and commitments easily forgotten, a man of character stands out. His reliability is not just a trait, it is a reflection of the discipline he has cultivated within himself. He is someone others can trust because he first trusts himself to do what is right. This commitment to integrity extends to every area of a man's life. It is not something he can compartmentalize or apply selectively. Integrity in one area but not another is not integrity at all. A man of true character does not behave one way at home and another way at work. He is consistent in how he treats people, whether they are friends or strangers, superiors or subordinates. His integrity does not shift based on who is watching or what he might gain. It is a constant, steady force that shapes his every action and decision. Character is also about accountability to oneself. A man of integrity is not perfect, but when he falls short, he does not hide from his mistakes or make excuses. He owns his failures with the same conviction he displays in his successes. He is willing to admit when he has done wrong and takes responsibility for making it right. This is not a sign of weakness, but of immense strength. It takes courage to be honest with oneself, to confront one's flaws, and to commit to personal growth. A man of character is always striving to become better, not for the approval of others, but because he holds himself to a higher standard. Moreover, character is revealed in how a man handles power. Many are corrupted when they rise to positions of influence, but a man of integrity remains grounded. He does not abuse his authority for selfish gain or to exploit others. Instead, he uses his position to uplift, to serve, and to act in the best interest of those he leads. His integrity ensures that power does not change him, it only amplifies the qualities that have already been deeply rooted in his character. Power in the hands of a man without integrity is dangerous, but in the hands of a man of character, it becomes a tool for good. Finally, a commitment to character and integrity is about legacy. A man who lives with integrity leaves behind a legacy that endures long after he is gone. People may forget his accomplishments, his wealth, or his status, but they will remember his character. They will remember the way he treated others, the values he upheld, and the example he set. His integrity becomes his lasting imprint on the world, one that will inspire others to live with the same commitment to truth, honor, and righteousness. In the end, character and integrity are not just about how a man is perceived by others, they are about who he truly is at the core. They are the qualities that define his manhood, shape his destiny, and determine his impact on the world around him. A man who is committed to character and integrity is not swayed by temptation, circumstance, or the opinions of others. He is grounded in something far deeper, a set of unshakable principles that guide him through every aspect of life. This is the essence of true strength, and it is the legacy of every great man. A true man is both a nurturer and a protector, roles that are not defined by physical strength alone, but by the depth of his care and commitment to those around him. Being a nurturer means understanding that the people in his life, whether it be his family, community, or those he leads, require more than just provision. They need guidance, support, and love. A man who embraces his role as a nurturer recognizes that his presence is not about control, but about cultivating growth and creating an environment where others can thrive. Nurturing is about investing in people's potential. It means taking the time to understand their needs, their dreams, and their struggles, and being there to encourage and uplift them. A man who nurtures doesn't impose his will on others, but instead helps them find their own path. He sees the strengths in those around him and nurtures those qualities, helping to bring out the best in them. Whether he is mentoring a young person, supporting a partner, or raising children, his nurturing presence provides stability and confidence. People feel safe to grow and flourish under his guidance because they know he has their best interests at heart. To nurture is also to be patient. Growth takes time, and a man who nurtures understands that not everything happens on his timeline. He is willing to wait, to guide gently, and to offer support through the ups and downs of life. He is not frustrated when progress is slow, but instead remains committed, knowing that every step forward is a victory. His nurturing spirit creates an atmosphere of encouragement rather than pressure, allowing others to blossom at their own pace. He knows that it's not his role to dictate outcomes, but to walk alongside those he cares for as they grow into their full potential.
At the same time, being a protector is an equally important aspect of a man's role. Protection is not just about shielding others from physical harm, but about creating a space of emotional and spiritual safety.
A man who protects understands that the people around him must feel secure to be vulnerable, to take risks, and to face challenges. He creates an environment where fear does not dominate, where love and respect guide interactions. He stands as a barrier between those he cares for and the forces that would seek to harm them, whether those forces are external threats or internal fears. A protector is not motivated by control or dominance, but by a deep sense of responsibility. He understands that his strength is not for his own benefit, but for the service of others. He uses his power to shield, not to suppress. His protection is rooted in love, not fear. He knows that true protection means empowering others to stand strong, not making them dependent on him. He gives them the tools, confidence, and courage they need to face the world on their own, knowing that his role is not to fight their battles for them, but to ensure they are equipped to fight their own. The protective instinct of a man is deeply tied to his sense of responsibility. He understands that his role is not just to provide for the physical needs of those around him, but also to guard their hearts and minds. He is vigilant, watching for anything that might threaten their well-being, whether it's harmful influences, negative patterns, or even self-doubt. He steps in when necessary, not to control, but to guide and protect the people he loves from harm they may not yet see. His protection is wise, discerning when to act and when to step back, allowing others to grow through their experiences while remaining a steady source of support. A man who is both a nurturer and protector finds balance between these roles. He knows when to be gentle and when to be firm, when to stand back and when to step in. He nurtures growth by providing guidance and encouragement, and he protects by creating an environment of safety and stability. These roles are not in conflict, but are complementary. His nurturing allows others to grow, while his protection ensures they can grow without fear. Together, these qualities define his leadership and his love for those in his care.
Nurturing and protecting also require deep emotional intelligence. A man must be in tune with the needs of those around him to effectively nurture and protect them. He must be able to listen, to empathize, and to understand what others are going through.
This awareness allows him to offer the right kind of support at the right time. He doesn't assume he knows what's best for everyone, but instead takes the time to truly understand what they need from him. His ability to nurture and protect comes from a place of humility, knowing that his strength is not just in what he can do for others, but in how he can empower them to become their best selves. In the end, the man who nurtures and protects does so out of love and a deep sense of duty. He sees the potential in others and is committed to helping them realize that potential, all while ensuring that they feel safe and supported. His strength is measured not in how much power he wields, but in how well he serves those he loves. Through his nurturing, he fosters growth, and through his protection, he creates an environment where growth can happen freely and without fear. This is the heart of manhood: to nurture and protect with wisdom, strength, and love.